In this video, I will implement everything related to the GameEntity, namely the model, the views, controllers, migrations. So let's start with the model. In ASP.NET MVC, the database technology used is the Entity Framework, which supports several ways to create models. Models can be created from the database structure or from the class structure. We'll use the last one. For that, we have to create a class, and from that class, the Visual Studio will generate the migration and then create the database. So let's create the class using the Add Class context menu, and then choosing the server-side class. Let's name it Game. Okay, this creates the class file, and within the class file, we just add properties. The properties of the class will later on translate to fields of the table. Property types will define what types the field will have, and the property name may, by convention, define what type of field we have. For instance, the property named ID will always be converted to an auto-increment field. It is possible also to add attributes to the properties, and these attributes will enrich the model so that we can define or further define the database schema. For example, let's apply the required attribute to some properties. In this case, require is not recognized because we are missing the using system.componentModel.data annotations. So we say status is required, as will be the total players and the owner ID. So this will translate to not null fields. Also, let's define max length for status, max length 1 character, just 1 character, and display attribute for total players as let's say join players. Okay. Also, and finally, for the owner attribute, that it's a reference for the owner, we'll define the foreign key attribute. Foreign key is not recognized because we're missing the reference to the assembly, to the model. Let's use the quick hashing to find the model missing. Okay, now it is recognized. Let's just compile the project. Okay, build. I think I missed something on foreign key. Right, there's an error there. Foreign key attribute requires the property that defines the foreign key, which means the property where the foreign key is really defined. So in this case, this property is the owner ID. The owner ID will have the foreign key for the owner reference. Okay, let's compile the project again, build the solution. Now it compiles successfully. Next, we have to define the reference on the application user. The application user will be the owner of the game. So we'll go to the application user model. It inherits from an identity user. Just define the property. In this case, it's a list because each owner, each user, has a list of games that he can create. So it's a list of games. The property is called games created by user. Okay, and with a getter and a setter. Now we have to compile the project again. After the model is created, we have to create the controllers and the views. And you can do this by scaffolding, by generating code. Let's go to controllers and add controller. Next, we can choose the MVC 6 controller with views using Entity Framework. Okay. This will generate all the controllers and views required for the game. So the model class will be the game class created. And the context, I could create a new context, but I just reuse the context already in use. So it will be creating a scaffold. It has created within the application DB context a new line just to access the game, the database. It has created a game controller with several actions to create, to view the list, to edit, delete everything, and also a set of views. Okay, you can get to the games folder. We have the view, the index view to list all games, the create view, the delete view, the details view, the edit view. So the scaffolding process creates everything automatically. Next, we're going to create the migrations for the game entity. For that, we access the prompt within the project folder, and then we execute the command dnx from .NET execution environment, dnx ef entity framework, migrations, add, and the name for the migration, in this case, game. After executing the migration command, a migration class is created within the migration folder. This class will have all the commands required to change the schema on the database. If you analyze the class, you can see several instructions to create a game table, or to change foreign keys, or to add constraints, among other features. So after creating the migration, it's time to update the database accordingly. So you go back to the shell and execute the command dnx ef database update. This updates the database according to the migrations on the project. In this case, it applied only one migration. Okay. Now we can compile and execute the project again. And we can see the pages generated by the scaffolding. Once again, don't forget that compilation occurs the first time the page is executed. So this may take a while. After the project is running, we have to change the URL manually to access the index of the games. On this page, I will have access to all games created. Of course, I haven't created any game yet, but please note that the property total players is displayed as joint players, as defined by attributes. I'm going to create a new game now. Also note that validators are in place, because when I define a status and join players, the required and the max length are applied. So status with more than one character will not be acceptable. Let's try to create a game now, and it's not working due to Honor ID. So let's try to solve the issue with Honor ID. Let's begin by analyzing the controller, game controller. So let's open the game controller and the create action within the game controller. In here, you can see that the select options are passed to the view through the view data. However, the select list gets the information from the users, but the users don't have owner field, so we have to change that to email field. We repeat the process for all select lists within the controller. After changing all select lists from the controller, we then execute the project again. Once again, the project has a starting delay. Once the project is executing, we gonna test the create game again. So let's try the owner ID, but once again, it has no values. So we have to go back to the project and check if something else is wrong. Let's go to the view, specifically the create view, and let's find the select input. So we got the select input, and there is something missing. The attribute asp.items or /items that define the list of items that fill the select. So that is will have to be viewback dot owner ID. So after changing the view, let's run or execute the project again. Okay, once again the starting delay. Okay, now let's go to the create a new action. And now, voila, we have the owner ID with a list of owners. You now can create a game and can choose the owner of the game.